All right, let's dive into all the light we cannot see. I'm really excited to unpack these excerpts you've all sent in, especially since it won a Pulitzer. We're going to be looking at the lives of Marie-Laure, a blind French girl living in occupied Saint-Malo, and Werner, this German orphan who is really good with radios and gets swept up in the Nazi war machine.
Yeah. And it's so interesting, how Doerr sets these personal stories during World War II.
Right.
We're dealing with like hidden radios, secret missions, and then there's this mysterious diamond, the Sea of Flames.
Sounds like we'll be uncovering not just what happens, but how they survive.
Yeah,
How they find resilience in the middle of all that chaos.
absolutely.
Okay, so let's start with the models Marie-Laure's father makes. Those aren't just toys, right?
No, not at all. Think about it. Marie-Laure's world is already one that most people can't really fully grasp. And then you have the war, which just throws everything into disarray.
Yeah.
But her father, by meticulously recreating their Paris neighborhood and then later St. Malo, he gives her back that sense of control. Like, those tactile models become her way of understanding spaces that were really built for sighted people.
It's like he's building a bridge between her world and the one she can't see.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder, for our listeners out there, what objects in your own life serve as those anchors? What helps you understand things?
Right. Now, shifting gears a little bit to Werner, his journey is really one of innocence lost. He goes from being this curious boy who's fascinated by radios to becoming a skilled technician in a Nazi training school.
Oh, wow.
Just imagine having this talent that you love, but then seeing it used for a cause that you're increasingly uneasy with.
That's a tough moral dilemma.
It is.
And the excerpts that you shared about his letters to his sister, Jada, how they're heavily censored, it really underscores that feeling of being trapped.
It's like the censorship itself is another character in the story.
Wow.
It reminds us constantly that even individual thought is under scrutiny within this totalitarian regime.
Okay. Well, speaking of things being controlled, what about the Sea of Flames diamond? This is where things get really interesting. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's rumored to have these, legendary powers, and it was under the protection of the Museum of Natural History in Paris. The novel hints that Marie-Laure's father is deeply involved in protecting it, which ultimately leads to his capture.
Oh, no. And then there's von Rumpel, this German officer who's obsessed with finding it.
Yeah, he's convinced that it holds the key to immortality.
Wow.
He just embodies this dangerous hunger for power, this willingness to exploit even beauty for personal gain.
Yeah.
And tragically, the diamond becomes the symbol of that desire.
Which makes the historical context even more chilling, right? Because during World War II, the Nazis systematically plundered art and cultural treasures from all these occupied territories.
Absolutely.
It's a reminder that these stories are always intertwined with the real world.
And speaking of the real world kind of closing in, the novel doesn't shy away from showing how the war escalates around Saint-Malo. We see the German occupation, the restrictions on everyday life.
Right.
It's a lot.
And it's against this backdrop that Marie-Laure and her great-uncle Etienne use a hidden radio transmitter in their attic to broadcast coded messages for the resistance.
It's incredible.
Can you imagine the courage that would take?
Think about it. You're living in a city that's under siege, not just physically, but mentally too. Every action, every word could be dangerous. But that makes their act of defiance even more powerful. They're using the very technology that this regime thrives on to fight back.
Oh, it gives me chills. It
Yeah.
really does. And speaking of chilling moments, there's that scene where Marie-Laure encounters a German soldier in her
Oh,
house.
yeah.
Put yourself in her shoes, right?
Yeah.
You're blind, you're alone in the attic, and you can hear every footstep, every creak of the floorboards below. Doerr's use of sound and sensory detail is just incredible.
It really pulls you in.
It's like he's pulling you right into the heart of that moment.
It's intense.
Okay, deep breaths, everyone. But seriously, it makes you think about the small, everyday acts of courage that people showed during such a horrific time.
Yeah, it's really inspiring, and it makes the eventual convergence of Marie-Laure's and Werner's paths that much more impactful. Talk about fate, or maybe just, masterful storytelling.
So Werner is sent to Saint-Malo with the task of finding the source of those radio transmissions, right?
Right.
What happens when their worlds collide?
Well,
Okay, we're going to have to wait until part 2 to find out.
yes, we are. Well, it's a tense meeting for sure, full of all these unspoken layers. You've got Werner, who's been, shaped by this Nazi ideology, but he's also wrestling with these growing doubts. And then you have Marie-Laure, who just embodies this incredible resilience and innocence. despite being surrounded by war.
Right. It's almost like their own individual journeys kind of represent these larger forces at play.
Mm.
And it makes me think about the objects in the story and how they take on these deeper meanings, like the radio. It's not just a tool for communication, is it?
No, no, not at all. I mean, it represents different things for each character. For Werner, it starts as this source of fascination, escape. It allows him to connect with the wider world beyond, the confines of his upbringing. But as he gets drawn deeper into the Nazi regime, it becomes a symbol of their propaganda machine, a tool for control.
But whereas for Marie-Laure and Etienne, it represents this lifeline,
Right.
a way to resist. They use it to connect with the outside world, to share vital information. It's like the same object can hold both darkness and light, depending on whose hands it's in.
Exactly. And that duality makes you question the power that objects hold in our own lives. What seems, simple on the surface can become so loaded with meaning. Like take the model of Saint-Malo. On the surface, it's just a way for Marie-Laure's father to help her navigate their new surroundings, but it's so much more than that.
Right. It's a symbol of his love for her, his attempt to try and create order and stability in a world that just feels increasingly out of control.
And imagine the impact that has on Marie-Laure. She can't physically see the model, but she experiences it through touch, through feeling.
Right.
It's a shared world they create, a way to connect amidst this chaos.
Which makes you think about, for the listener, how we find connection and meaning in our own lives, especially during times of upheaval. What anchors us? What helps us make sense of things?
Then there's the Sea of Flames diamond, perhaps the most potent symbol in the novel. It represents, beauty, but also this dangerous obsession with power. Van Rumpel's belief that it holds the key to immortality, speaks volumes about the human desire to transcend our own limitations.
It's this reminder that even the most beautiful things can be twisted and exploited. And the fact that the novel leaves its ultimate fate ambiguous, adds another layer of intrigue.
It's like Doerr saying that some mysteries are better left unsolved, that sometimes the journey matters more than the destination.
And speaking of journeys, the characters themselves are constantly on the move, like Marie-Laure and her father fleeing Paris, Werner being sent off to training school, and then the front lines. It makes you wonder, are they all searching for something?
Oh, absolutely. They're searching for safety, belonging, purpose, something that the war has taken from them. They've been uprooted, forced to confront the fragility of life.
Yeah.
And it's through these journeys, these forced migrations, that they discover their own resilience. And ultimately, all those paths converge in Saint-Malo. It's a fitting setting, isn't it? A city on the edge of the world where boundaries are blurred. It's where their individual stories become intertwined, highlighting the interconnectedness of human lives.
Like a microcosm of the war itself.
Yeah.
Chance encounters, unpredictable outcomes, the way individual lives just get caught in these larger events.
And those small moments of connection, those flickers of shared humanity, those are what make all the light we cannot see so unforgettable.
One thing that really struck me while I was reading this is this theme of light and darkness. And it's not just in the title, obviously. It seems like it's woven into the very fabric of the story.
Right, exactly. Marie-Laure's blindness is this constant reminder of the darkness that surrounds them.
Right.
Yet she navigates the world with this remarkable resilience, finding light in these unexpected places, through sound, touch, even her imagination.
And Werner, despite being immersed in this darkness of the Nazi ideology, he has these flickers of light, too.
Yeah.
His love for his sister, his fascination with radio, his brief encounter with Marie-Laure.
It's almost like Doerr is suggesting that even in the darkest of times, there are these sparks of light, these glimmers of hope.
It's about finding beauty amidst the ruins, connection amidst the chaos.
And that's a powerful message, especially, given the historical context of World War II. All the light we cannot see invites us to look beyond the surface, to see the world through these different lenses, to find the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Doerr really brings the story to life with his incredible use of sensory details.
Oh, he does.
Even though Marie-Laure can't see, he describes the world through sound and touch and smell. It's like he's allowing us to experience it alongside her.
Absolutely.
Think about the cobblestones beneath her feet, the smell of the salt air in Saint-Malo, the crash of the waves against the shore. You're not just reading about it, you're immersed in it.
It's so vivid.
And it makes the story so much more impactful and creates this sense of empathy for Marie-Laure. We're not just observers. We're feeling what she feels.
Right, you're right there with her.
And her relationships with others become even more poignant. Like, take her great uncle Etienne. He's this, eccentric character who finds solace in his radios and memories. But he becomes a guide for Marie-Laure, a protector, helping her navigate the darkness.
Yeah, he's like this anchor for her.
He teaches her about the world, reads to her, even builds that secret radio transmitter in the attic. Their bond is just this testament to the power of human connection, how we find each other, even in the most unexpected places.
And think about how different that is from Werner's experience. He's surrounded by people, yet he feels so isolated.
Right, he's trapped within the Nazi ideology. He's unable to, express his doubts and fears. Even his letters to Judah are censored, constantly reminding him of the limitations imposed on his thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, he's constantly being watched. It's really unsettling.
And it makes you wonder how he reconciles that inner turmoil with his actions, his duty to the regime.
That's the question that really drives his character arc. It's this constant struggle between obedience and conscience.
Yeah, it's like that technical world, with its precision and beauty. It offers him an escape from the ugliness of war.
It's a sanctuary for him,
Right.
a place where he can just focus on something that feels, pure and tangible. But even that gets kind of tainted by the conflict as his skills are used for, increasingly destructive purposes.
Right. And then there's that brief, fateful encounter with Marie-Laure. It's just a fleeting moment, but it transcends the war, the ideologies, everything that separated them.
Think about it, two young people from completely different worlds brought together by chance.
Yeah.
It just highlights the randomness of war, how lives are thrown together and torn apart in ways that we just, we can't predict.
Yeah, but it also emphasizes the enduring power of human connection, even amidst all the chaos and destruction. That even, the smallest act of kindness or a shared moment of understanding can make a difference.
It's that flicker of hope that makes all the light we cannot see so powerful. It's not just a war story. It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit.
It reminds us that even in the darkest of times, beauty can be found in the brokenness, and love and connection can endure.
Doerr's novel is a reminder that light can be found in the most unexpected places. Just like Marie-Laure, who despite her blindness, experiences the world in such a vibrant way, we too can choose to focus on those sparks of light that guide us through these challenging times.
It's a beautiful and thought-provoking story, one that stays with you long after you finish it. As you reflect on this deep dive, what resonated with you the most? What questions are you left pondering?
And more importantly, how can you carry those insights, those sparks of light, with you as you navigate your own world?
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into all the light we cannot see. We hope you found it illuminating. Until next time, keep seeking out those stories that inspire and challenge you.